Hi everyone, Scott Kolligian, Ohio disability lawyer here to discuss the most important factors of your long-term disability insurance claim. When our office takes a client who has a long-term disability insurance application or appeal, we will evaluate several factors right off the bat to help us determine the best way to move forward with your claim. The first thing that needs to be done is to determine what law governs your specific long-term disability insurance policy. These days, most LTD claims are governed by ERISA law. This law, called the Employee Retirement and Income Security Act, governs nearly all LTD policies that are issued as a part of your employee benefits package. However, if you purchased your LTD policy from an insurance agent or acquired it outside of work, there's a likelihood that your policy is governed by that state's contract laws. Typically, you want the policy to be governed by the state law because ERISA law severely limits your potential recovery and generally does not allow you to have a jury trial. There are several very important things that are contained in your long-term disability policy. The first is how disability is defined. Every insurance policy will define disability and your entitlement to a benefit payment slightly differently. For example, some policies will grant benefits if you are unable to perform the job that you had, while others require you to prove that you cannot perform any job. Possibly most commonly, in ERISA long-term disability policies especially, is a hybrid approach where you are granted benefits for the first 24 months if you cannot do your own job, but then you have to prove the inability to do any job. You also want to know what exclusions and limitations exist. For example, long-term disability policies oftentimes contain a pre-existing condition exclusion. There are also limitations for benefits granted due to certain impairments. For example, many policies limit disability payments to 24 months for conditions primarily caused by mental illness. Knowing your policy's exclusions and limitations is critical to trying to maximize any benefit that you might be receiving from your insurance policy. Now, you also want to know in which state your policy was issued. For example, a large company that is headquartered in a state like California might have a provision that says that the policy is issued and governed by the state laws of California, despite the fact that you're working for the company in the state of Ohio. This is important because California and several other states across the country have banned something called discretionary clauses in these insurance policies. If your attorney recognizes this, that fact can be used to turn the momentum in your case from the insurance company back to you. Now, we're going to turn to medical records and treatment. It may seem odd that we are not talking about medical records, treatment, and your diagnoses until this point, but truly understanding your policy is so much more important before you even begin looking at your medical records. Once we get to the point of diving into your records, however, there are a few key points that should be evaluated. First, of course, are your medical conditions and any of the test results that support those diagnoses. But more importantly than the diagnosis itself is what limitations stem from your medical conditions. In order to determine how you are limited, you need to review the statements that you've made to your doctors over time, your response to treatment, and in most cases, having medical opinions from doctors is either very important or even sometimes necessary. Sometimes you may even need specific testing related to how you perform in a work setting, which is called a functional capacity evaluation. All of these factors should be considered when reviewing medical records to support your LTD claim. Now, a final factor that deserves significant consideration with your long-term disability claim is evaluating your occupation or the job that you had. This is especially critical when your application or when the definition of disability is going to hinge on whether or not you can perform your own job. You want very specific information regarding the physical aspects of how you performed your job. Oftentimes, this can be found in your company's official job description, but sometimes it needs to be supplemented. Now, of course, every claim is going to have its own unique aspects. That's why it's so critical, especially if you have a long-term disability policy that's governed by ERISA law, to seek out and hire an attorney with considerable experience in handling ERISA LTD claims. So if you have questions about how to prepare your long-term disability application, or if you have recently been denied or even terminated from an LTD benefit, please contact our office so that we can schedule a free evaluation to see if we can help you obtain the benefits that you deserve.